Jesus real. Now what else you got? Many of us conscious or woke people put ourselves at odds with Christianity and Christians when there's no need to because of a lack of knowledge. I don't want that to sound like an attack. I'm just stating facts that I want to shed a little light on in this screencast with some deeper knowledge. The Bible is misunderstood and misapplied African spiritual science. If people really understood what it is, they could use Christianity to teach the true spiritual science to those that are open. I regularly see too many people in social media call our Christian brothers and sisters coons, making inflammatory statements like F Jesus, or anyone that believes in Jesus is deaf, dumb, and blind. I truly understand the anger. When I first found out that Jesus was never a real person, I wanted to tell my whole family. I just knew they wanted this information. My whole family was Christian, but we were still torn apart by our beliefs about Christianity before I found out that Jesus was misinformation. My family rejected this knowledge. I had just graduated college with a degree in psychology, so I understood and was armed on a deeper level with what believing in white Jesus was doing to my family and my people. Hell, you don't need a degree to see it. Just look around the world and see the state of the African diaspora. Wherever Christianity has gone, death and destruction of indigenous civilization and cultures have followed. My favorite aunt rejected the knowledge and proudly told me my Jesus is white, and that my problem was that I had gone off to college and gotten too educated. Imagine what I felt. I was hurt because she should at least be proud that I was one of the first in the whole extended family to get a college degree. With that hurt and rejection came my anger at her, later the rest of my family, and at Christianity. I went on an attack to show them how dumb and stupid they were. After a while, I realized that I had pretty much alienated myself from my family because of my actions towards them. They weren't open to my message. For a while, it saddened and angered me more. But the only knowledge I was armed with at the time was Jesus was never a historical person. He wasn't real. I knew on the surface that Jesus wasn't real and that the ideas came out of Africa. That wasn't enough to change my family's mind. What proof did I have, really? In other words, Jesus ain't real, so now what else you got to prove it? And I had nothing. I've always been a teacher at heart, even before I became a school teacher. That meant I had to know so I could impart knowledge to others. So I want to give you some knowledge here that will help you connect dots for the Christians that are open and investigating. These Christians are different than most, and I will explain why this is so crucial later. You can connect with them rather than alienate them. This is only a primer. You will need to go deeper yourself, but it will be a start for you. Let's look at a couple of Christian concepts that are regularly used as points of contention for the conscious folk and Christians, but are at the root African spiritual science twisted. The first one is Adam and Eve. The second one is Jesus on the cross and death. However, understanding the truth of the knowledge is more powerful than the biblical lies. Let's start with Adam and Eve. They were never real historical people. Adam and Eve came through the Greek Gnostics as an analogy explaining the Neter Atum. You have to remember was executed for corrupting the youth and not believing in the gods of the state. He was teaching African spiritual science. If you dig deeper, you will find that the Greek gods like Hercules and Athena are actually Kemetic Neters with a name change. So is Adam. They changed the names to protect themselves so they could teach this powerful spiritual science. And I want the African diaspora to understand this. The science of Kemet was the science of Africa. What became Kemetic Science was a part of other parts of Africa. My friends at Ancestral Voices can confirm this through their high-quality research and videos. In the ancient world, Egypt was the Holy Land for a reason. Have you ever considered why this knowledge was so sought after and why men would risk death to obtain it and teach it? So many of the African diaspora still pray to a savior that has yet to save. One reason is a lack of knowledge, which is the definition of ignorance. One reason is a lack of knowledge, which is the definition of ignorance. Again, I don't say that as an attack. I speak it as a fact that through simply analyzing those facts will reveal what I say is true. Researching will confirm them for you. One of the foundational aspects of the Kemetic spiritual system is what we call numerology. It's the basis of all their myths. Those myths became the personages in the Bible simply renamed. Atum is a cognate of Atum. A cognate means that the word is derived from the same root word. In numerology, Atum is a metaphor for a numerical philosophical concept called a monad. Philosophically, the monad is the principle of numbers, and the number one is the principle of numbered things. In other words, the monad is an intelligible but abstract concept. So is Atum. However, the number one can be divided into infinity. The monad is the potential of all things to exist. Within the philosophy of numbers, they can be odd and even, masculine and feminine, and squared based on how they function and what the numbers look like in their numbering system. Teachers, this would make math fun for kids, trust me. As an abstract principle, Atum is masculine and feminine. Therefore, as Adam and Eve, you have in Christianity the misunderstanding and misapplication of the Kemetic concept of Atum as a monad. There are many of these concepts that are part of the Bible. My reason for doing this is to arm you with knowledge and understanding for a Christian that wants to go deeper. Now, I already know if you have listened or read this far, you're probably a leader and a teacher of some kind, or you want to be. You will be one that will bridge our Christian brothers and sisters over from religion to spirituality. But you have to get the foundational knowledge, not just give them surface stuff and expect a Christian to change. Give them surface stuff and expect a Christian to change. Here's a huge one. And the second one, the cross. I see this meme that says the ankh is life and the cross is death. Well, that's not true at all when you know the African spiritual science behind the cross. I know what we've been taught as the meaning of the cross as Christians. Jesus died on the cross, so it means death. And the origin of the concept of the cross is actually the ancient numerical concept that is thousands of years old. I'm talking between 30 to 50,000 years old. It was prehistorical. The cross is actually a numerical representation of 2 squared, which equals the number 4. Now, please understand, I'm giving you a really stripped down explanation so that you can have a basis to go research. The cross in African science and spirituality is explaining a component of any natural phenomenon. There must be a cross of elements in order to produce anything in our reality. The Neter, Shu, Tefnut, Nut, and Geb are the foundation for all phenomenon of the perceptible universe. At the basis of this idea is that the number one, or unity, or as we know it biblically, the Holy Spirit descends into matter and divides and crosses many times to form our reality. The first cross means that that phenomenon was absorbed and therefore inert and lifeless until the second cross occurred, and the phenomenon or life came forth. Yeusa, also known as Jesus, is the number 5 that represents the idea of any phenomenon to perpetuate itself. Hence the idea that Yeusa, or Jesus, is always perpetually coming back. Any phenomenon or life could not exist without the foundation of crossing. Therefore, the phenomenon or life is pinned to the cross. In other words, anything in existence comes from an elemental crossing. The cross is not death, it's symbolic of the foundation of life, of existence. Christianity took it and made it something else. They got it from the Greek Gnostics who had to change the original myths for self-preservation. Don't stop at their level of knowledge. Go deeper. In ancient Egypt, these elements were called Shu, Tefnut, Geb, and Nut. Geb is known as the father of Asar, also known as Osiris. Asar is known as the father of Heru, also known as Yeusa in Egypt, and Heracles, or Hercules, to the Greeks, just where the parents of Hercules are from, and they will tell you Egypt. This is to let you know that when I say Greek gods are nothing more than Egyptian netters renamed, it's documented. But another little known Kemetic netter was called a virgin. That netter is Neith, who was called Mary, that's Meri, as were many of the feminine netters in ancient Egypt because of an aspect of their function. Neith's function was known as the virgin birth before the birth. Her function is that of crossing. Hence, she is the virgin mother, or Mary, or that's Meri, or as we know her as Mary, Mary. Geb is the earth father of Yeusa or Jesus. I know you've been told Neith is a goddess of war because she has been symbolized with arrows. But if you notice the ancient motif will show the arrows crossed. It all has deeper meaning that most don't take the time to research. Understanding the science will help you connect the Kemetic myth in the Bible. If you truly want to help awaken our brothers and sisters, I'm going to challenge you to get deeper into this knowledge. Understand that it's truly a science of everything. That's one of the reasons this knowledge became sacred, because those that possess it become powerful creators in their own right. As Christians and the religious, we worship the knowledge as sacred, but we don't have a clue about what it is or how it can be used. We're taught it's satanic or from the devil. It's not true. African spiritual science was demonized. If you're a pastor that is awakening, you cannot afford to go to your congregation with the knowledge of a meme that amounts to a sewing thimble worth of knowledge in an ocean and expect them to follow you. If you're awake, then get angry at them when they don't accept it. They don't have to believe you. Their faith does not need facts. Unfortunately, Christians want to argue facts with faith, and us woke folk don't realize that facts are irrelevant to faith. No one has to prove their faith and shouldn't have to. Faith is personal. Faith is not rational. Facts are. Faith doesn't equate to facts, and facts can't disprove faith. It's only when someone searches for knowledge when facts become important. These are the Christians that are different. They're looking for something. These Christians that are open will need this deeper knowledge to even begin to investigate. It's not a matter of getting over Jesus. It's a deeply rooted psychological paradigm that you're dealing with here. That's the foundation of faith. You must remember, as Christians, we're taught that to even analyze and question the teachings of the Bible is sinful, and our eternal salvation is at stake. How afraid would you be if the price of questioning meant eternal hell? The fear isn't rational, so facts aren't enough when faith is all that matters to a Christian. You must be more knowledgeable and compassionate toward our Christian brothers and sisters. You must understand the psychological implications to a Christian. Those of the conscious community that is attacking Christians are doing so from a hurt and angry egotistical place. You will not win Christians over by attacking them. That must stop. My conscious, passionate brothers and sisters, I understand where you are simply because I've been there. Hurt and angry. An attack on Christian faith with a barrage of facts won't work on a person that feels that all they have is faith. Doing so shows an egotistical and arrogant disposition that tells the recipient of the barrage that you care nothing about them. Many of the African diaspora are desperate. They think only Jesus will save them in this world. The African spiritual science will give them a different message and empower all who are courageous enough to break the psychological chains of faith. But we must go deeper. No, Jesus ain't real. Now what else you got? Study and go deeper. At Kemetic Centered Living, we are a tribe of leaders and teachers that go deeper with compassion and knowledge to reach our brothers and sisters that are reaching out. The knowledge is there, but it's not on the surface. It can't be taught and explained through a few sentences on a meme. Please like and share this video if it was enlightening to you. Thank you for listening. Namaste.